Jason Miller never believed in fate. All he wanted was a fresh start. After his divorce, he sold everything he owned and found himself in a quiet corner of Ohio, on a sleepy street called Miller's Road. The coincidence of the name made him chuckle. The real estate agent just shrugged it off, saying it was an old name, nothing more. For Jason, it felt like the perfect place to begin again. The two-story farmhouse was a picture of decay. The paint was peeling, the porch sagged, and a thick layer of dust coated the windows. Yet, something about it called to him. It felt like the house had a story, a secret locked away inside. As he turned the key for the first time in the crisp October air, a strange scent hit him. It was the smell of old, weathered wood, and something else, faint, almost forgotten. The smell of smoke. The first few days were deceptively normal. A creaking floorboard here, a flickering light there. He chalked it up to an old house, settling, cold air seeping through the ancient wooden frame. But on the fourth night, the feeling shifted. He woke with a jolt at exactly 2:17 a.m. At first, he didn't know what had woken him. Then he heard it. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, coming from the staircase. One step, then another. His heart hammered against his ribs, his breath catching in his throat. After a long, agonizing moment, the sound stopped. He tried to rationalize it, whispering to himself, "It's just the old wood. It's nothing." But then the smell of smoke returned, stronger this time, curling into the room like a phantom. The next morning, he searched the house from top to bottom. There was no sign of a fire, not even a scorch mark. Still, the feeling lingered, the unsettling sensation that something was smoldering within the very walls of the house, a past that had quite burned out. A week later, while clearing out the dusty attic, his fingers brushed against an old cassette recorder. Tucked inside was a tape, the label scrawled in faded ink. October 1994, driven by curiosity, he pressed play. The speaker hissed with static, and then a woman's voice emerged, trembling with pure terror. "It's getting worse," she whispered, her voice cracking. "The smoke. It won't go away. I told them it's coming from inside the walls, but no one believes me." Jason froze, his blood running cold. The voice dropped even lower, becoming a desperate, frantic plea. "If anyone finds this tape, do not stay here after dark. When the lights go out, he comes." And then the tape cut out, leaving only the sound of silence. Jason's heart felt like it had stopped beating. Who was this woman? And who, or what, was he? The following morning, he saw an old man chopping wood in the neighboring yard. Trying to appear casual, Jason called out, "Good morning," with a friendly wave. The man just stopped and stared, his expression grim. "You bought that Miller house?" Jason nodded, the old man's face twisted in disgust. "That house should have been burned to the ground years ago." Jason managed a nervous laugh. "Why do you say that?" The man lowered his axe. "The Dosons lived there before you. Husband, wife, and their little girl. One night back in '94, their barn caught fire. They were never seen again." Jason asked, "Did they die in the fire?" The old man spat on the ground. "The barn burned," he said, his voice flat, "but not the house." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Jason standing alone with 1,000 new questions. That night, the smoke returned, thicker and more suffocating than ever before. Jason grabbed a flashlight and made his way downstairs, his own breath misting in the frigid air. He swept the beam of light across the living room. Suddenly, the light landed on the fireplace, and he saw it. A shadow was standing there. It wasn't just a trick of the light. It was darker than darkness itself, a void in the shape of a man. It stood perfectly still. Jason couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then, a faint breeze whispered through the room, making the shadow quiver. The flashlight slipped from his trembling hand, clattering across the floorboards. It rolled to a stop, its beam pointing at an old, ornate mirror on the wall. And there, reflected in the glass, a woman's terrified eyes stared directly back at him. In that instant, The world seemed to blur. The smell of smoke vanished. The chill receded. He whispered to the empty room, "This isn't real. This isn't real." The next day, he began to dig. He spent hours scouring old newspaper archives and online records. Everything pointed to the same horrifying event. October 1994. The Dawson family missing. Barn destroyed in suspicious fire. One article quoted a neighbor who claimed that just the night before they disappeared, Mrs. Dawson had frantically said, "He's coming again." Jason's chest tightened. That year, that month, it all matched the tape. He raced back to the attic, his mind reeling. He tore at the insulation in the wall, and his fingers found the edge of a small, hidden door. Behind it was a small wooden box. Inside, he found a stack of burnt photographs. They were pictures of the Dosanza, smiling father, a loving mother, and a happy little girl. In one photo, the girl was holding a teddy bear. In the next photo, taken from a distance, the same bear lay charred on the ground, and standing behind it, in front of the smoldering barn, was a black, human-shaped shadow. The truth hit Jason like a physical blow. Something was in this house with him. He fumbled for his phone and started recording. October 17th, 2017, he said, his voice shaking. "If anyone finds this, I believe there is something terribly wrong in this house." Suddenly, a whisper echoed from right behind him. "Jason, leave." He spun around. There was no one there. Later, when he watched the footage, his skin crawled. The video was filled with static and distorted images, but for a single, terrifying frame, a woman's face was reflected in the window, her lips clearly forming the words, "He's in the smoke." From that night on, the house refused to let him go. Every time he tried to leave, the smoke would thicken, choking him, the walls themselves seeming to breathe in unison with his ragged breaths. That night, the cold was bone deep. At exactly 3:12 a.m., every light in the house went out at once. An unnatural stillness fell over the rooms. And then, footsteps, slow, heavy, coming down the hallway towards his bedroom. Jason grabbed a heavy wrench from his toolbox, his knuckles white. He stared at the door, shouting, "Who's there?" There was no answer, only the sound of breathing. Deep, raspy, and getting closer. He threw the door open, and what he saw would be burned into his memory for eternity. Standing in the doorway was a figure that looked exactly like him, but its skin was charred and blackened. Its eyes were hollow voids, and thick, black smoke poured from its smiling mouth. The smile widened, and the entire room was swallowed by darkness. 2 weeks later, concerned neighbors called the police. They reported seeing smoke rising from the chimney and lights flickering erratically inside the house. When officers entered, they found the house completely empty. Jason Miller was gone. The only thing he left behind was his phone, lying on the kitchen table, still recording. The final footage showed nothing but a screen filled with roiling smoke, and from deep within the static, a child's voice whispered, "He found another one." To this day, folks in that part of Ohio avoid Miller's Road on cold autumn nights. They say you can still smell burning wood drifting on the wind. Some even claim to hear footsteps in the attic of the old, abandoned farmhouse. And if you listen closely, they say the old cassette recorder sometimes plays on its own, hissing with static, and then a low voice warns, "He's in the smoke." That was today's story. If you want more true and terrifying stories, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.